All right, hello. We are taking a look at Maces and Dices, and I'm joined by Martin. How are you doing?
Hi,
Hello, welcome to the stream.
thanks.
Thanks so much for taking the time to be here. So I have the game downloaded as per your suggestion, and yeah, I guess I just anything else I should know about the game before I get started?
Mm, no, I don't think so. All
Okay,
the instructions are and such are in the game, so good luck.
excellent. I'll get started then, and we can also get started with our first question. There we go. Just had to get past that, and I'll stop the stream background music because we've got the actual game music running here. Okay. And the first question I usually ask people is if they can talk a little bit about their game background and their role in the project. But in this case, I saw that you were the solo dev on this project. So just a bit about your
Indeed.
game background.
Well, my role was kind of everything in that case, and my background is well, I've done game dev-ish for like what? Let's see, my Scratch account is 9 years old at this point, so well, that's where I started with Scratch 9 years ago. So that means oh hey, because I've just turned 18, that means that I've done game dev half of my life at this point.
Hey, congratulations. That's a huge milestone.
Yeah, well, in the beginning it was very much like very basic, very buggy, weird Scratch games, but everyone has to start somewhere, and that was where I started. And then I looked into Python a bit, but that was too difficult to make games in, so I didn't really make anything there. So I continued with making Scratch games until like 2018, and then during 2020 I picked up Godot and started using that. And because I had already like tried Python, that meant that I got pretty fluent in Godot pretty quickly, because the programming language was pretty similar to Python. So that was like the first real tool I used, and that is how I really started making what would you call them, real games.
Well, sure, but I do know the distinction you're making, and the in this particular case, are you using GD script?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, yeah, I haven't used Godot myself. I got my start with GameMaker, but I do know that it's got like its own sort of scripting language. And so, did you find that the transition from programming stuff in Slack to like actually writing games with GD script to be like liberating? Did you find that there were like suddenly way more things that you could do?
Yeah, I mean, first off, just things like everything was easier, really, because in Scratch you're so limited to this small canvas, and like there isn't really a camera either. So if you want to do a scrolling platformer kind of thing, you have to like cheat your way through it. But in Godot, it was like, okay, I have my platformer controller, first thing I made probably, and then like, oh, I can put the camera on the player, and then everything just works. I can have a much bigger world than just this screen, and that was really cool. Like things got easier just because Scratch is amazing for beginners, but as soon as you want to make something a little bit more complicated, it just doesn't work, and then it gets so much easier with real tools that are made for bigger things.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. Like for me, it was a transition of Game Maker's internal like drag and drop coding blocks to actually writing code still in Game Maker. But it was like
All right.
actually, it was a novelty for me to be able to create enemies with health bars because until then, Game Maker has like a simplified way of drawing a health bar, but it's only one, like health is a global variable across the entire engine, like literally the word health. So
Oh, right. So it's
yeah,
like it's for the player only.
basically, yeah. So I
Ah.
could give enemies like internal HP variables, but I didn't have a way of drawing that to the screen until I started writing actual GameMaker language
Oh,
script.
wow.
So yeah, I know all that's to say. I know that feeling of like, oh my gosh, like all this world of possibilities opens up.
Because one thing I didn't say was when I tried Python, I like tried Pygame because that's like library for making games in Python. But the problem is that's more like a framework. It isn't an in-game engine. You really have to do a lot of things yourself in the end. And at that point, I had only used Python and coding in general, like not Scratch blocks.
Mhm.
I had only used that for maybe 2 months, and then to like get you dive into Pygame, you don't understand anything. I didn't really know how to read documentation at that point, so what I used was like tutorials on YouTube to try make a game in Pygame, and I made a very simple game. You were a cactus and you were avoiding snakes, just like they were coming from the left side, and you had to dodge them. And the problem was that because I was so new to programming, I didn't know how to use classes or anything like that. So my code turned into spaghetti very quickly, because like if you're gonna use something like Pygame, you really do know how to use classes, otherwise it's not gonna work. So
Yeah.
and I mean, I didn't know how to use classes when I started with Godot either, but they like you kind of do write your own custom classes in Godot without you even knowing it, because of how the node system works. So it just it was so much easier, and I could actually get something done.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all that being said, uh, let's get into the actual like inspiration behind this game, Maces and Dices. I think it's really neat. Like I appreciate that you added the hotkeys, but the I gotta say, just like clicking and dragging is already quite intuitive. So that's why I've been sticking with
Yeah,
that for the most
that
part.
was like one of the first things I did. Just like I came up with an idea. I had like brainstorm for 3 hours. At first, I was thinking of doing some weird farming game where like you rolled a dice to say what mood you were in, and then like, oh, you're angry today, so now you will be able to kill all the weeds extra quickly or something like that. It was a very weird idea, but I didn't know exactly how to make a game out of it. So I continued brainstorming, and it just, I don't know where it came from. It was very sudden. It just I thought of roguelikes first. Like it's structured like a roguelike, but I didn't have the time to actually do any kind of procedural generation things anyway, so I just made some levels, and I think that was a very smart idea, because people are and people are gonna play it just like 1 or 2 times anyways on a game jam, so it isn't really worth it to make random levels for that.
Yeah, it's true that most people have they will spend between like maybe 5 minutes as an average, maybe 10 if they're like really compelled by the game they're playing. So yeah, I think the like fixed level structure is a great way to prototype. And then if
Yeah.
people are enjoying the concept, then you can always turn it into a roguelike. But for my part, I'm always going to appreciate the hand of a designer going through and crafting an experience rather than one that's just been procedurally generated.
Yeah, exactly. And also for such a short time, like even if let's say I was able to make this random generation in this short time, then it just could happen that the generation just messed up, and then you have an impossible level, and it would be very bad. It would have been a much worse experience if I had went for that in this jam.
Yeah, exactly. Like that the time that it takes to craft a very good procedural generation system, like I think is a bit more than your average game jam will demand. It
Exactly.
depends on the complexity of the system, but the system we're looking at here is pretty complex. So, um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've actually started to. I know that's a question for later, but I've actually started to like change the game and turn it into a roguelike, and I have some kind of random generation setup. And I mean, it's not bad. It works, but I can still see that there is a difference, even with these few things in the game. There's still a difference, like the placement of things. It just works better when it's hand placed.
yeah, for sure. So I guess it's skipping ahead a little bit, but do you like are you actively continuing development on this game?
Yeah, that's my goal. I like there are so many people that have said like they would want to have more levels, more content, and I'm like, let's let's do this.
Awesome.
I'm gonna do it, and like because as I said, the idea was to have it as an roguelike, so I should try to see what you can do with that, like upgrades on your dice and different starting loadouts could be like an unlockable thing, bosses and so on and so forth. It will be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, so are there any like are you happy with the core system of the game in terms of the like dice to move and attack, or do you have any other plans for changing that up?
I think it works quite well. I mean, there's always this risk of having it too RNG dependent when you do a game with dice. But just because I have these different colored dice means that you're always gonna have an attack. You're always gonna have some kind of movements, so so on. So I'm pretty happy with the system, and there's still plenty of room for strategic
Strategy. Yeah, yeah,
depth.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and and I am hoping to be able to expand that by giving the players more dice slots, for example. In like you could find upgrades so you can carry more dice, because like if you have 10 dice and then there there's this epic boss fight, you're gonna have to like dance around it and really use all your dice, and I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
I think that at a certain point, like you're really going to have to play with the exact number of dice that the player gets because I think there is something very powerful about having very few dice that you need to like work with and manage.
Yeah,
It,
yeah, that's absolutely true. But the way I because right now it's like if you have two movement dice and they're in the correct ones, you can always escape from your enemies, and there's not really much of a challenge.
Mhm.
But the way I'm gonna compensate for that is having enemies that can move in different patterns. Like I have started to experiment with a new ranged enemy that can move diagonally as
Mhm.
well, and that gets a lot more challenging just by having that extra movement capability.
Yeah, I'm realizing that I'm also getting very close to losing my only movement dice here.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and that's like that's why it's it fits pretty well just as a roguelike, because well, if you lose, you lose. You have to start over, and there are some problems in the game or in the jam version that you could kind of get soft locked if you come to a level you don't have many dice, and then you like get killed instantly and you have no chance to solve it, and then you just respawn on the same level with the same dice. It doesn't that that there we have a problem. So
Kind of like what's happened to me. Like I was
yeah.
so I think one thing that I would recommend if you haven't done it already is the like when you clear a level, the ability to like go back and scavenge for resources, because there were tons of dice that I was just leaving behind in the previous level. I
Yeah.
didn't realize how close I was to like finishing that level. Otherwise, I would have tried to like not kill the enemies and go back and collect some more movement dice.
Yeah, now you're soft locked.
Yeah.
Have to restart the game.
Okay.
But yeah. What I'm planning to do is like having, instead of the goal of every level being to kill all the enemies, there will be some kind of goal thing you have to like actually get to. I don't know how it would look, but some kind of maybe a ladder or something like that. Both because then you have chance to go back and pick up things, but also, and this is why I think it's even more interesting, what you can do then is if you have a way to beat the level without killing all the enemies, you could do like a play style where you only pick up movement dice and then you like speed through the level, speed through and avoid all the enemies and just get to the finish without even dealing damage. And that, I think that then I'll have to balance that so it isn't too easy or too hard, but it would be an interesting way to play, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So the yeah, so I mean at this point I'm gonna be just like replaying the opening parts of the game, but so yeah, you'd say reception for the game so far has been like pretty positive overall.
Yeah, it's been great. I've had so many nice comments, and it really gets to me, and it makes me wanna continue on the game, and that's why I'm doing it.
So at this point, have you noticed a benefit to like where you put your attacking and defending die? Like the first time I played the game, I was like, oh, I don't want to lose my ability to attack, so I put those on the furthest left. And then sort of the second time through, I realized like, oh, actually, it's very important to move because you can always collect more dice. So now I'm putting my
Yeah.
attack dice to the right.
Yeah,
But,
that's one of the thing I like with, it's a very simple system, but it still gets there's many strategic decisions
yeah.
to be made. And like I want to expand on that as much as possible, like adding a way to lock in a roll, for example, so you can like be, oh, I got this 4 damage attack now, but I don't have a use for it, so then I can lock it to keep it for another turn.
Yeah, I think that's something people are always going to appreciate is the ability to like mitigate their luck a little bit by
Yeah, exactly.
banking when you get something good, and then you can use it when you need it most. Yeah, even if you wanted to make some sort of trade-off where like you can bank something, but like you guarantee that you can't use it your next turn, and then you have to use it the turn after, or something like that. Or like something that's banked can only be used the next turn. Like you can't bank something for as many turns as you want. I don't know. There are a couple different possibilities with that.
That's something I've thought about, and also you could have it so if you bank it, how it will work. At least how I have like imagined it in my head is that you would, in that case, you would take your dice and drag it to like another slot in your hotbar. That would be like the locking slot.
Yeah.
But that would also mean that when it's in the locking slot, it doesn't count as your health. So then, like, you'll get less health temporarily as long as you have something in your lock slot, and maybe that will mess with your ordering of the dice. So, oh no, now my movement dice will take damage because I've moved it here and such.
Yeah, I guess that's also like it depends on how you structure the interface, but it could be a way for players to like actually reorder the order of the items in their hands.
Yeah, that's something I've thought about, just the ability to do that or not. The problem with letting people reorder is that you could very easily like always make sure that fully healed or well full
Yeah,
HP
yeah.
dice is to the right, and then you can just have all your dice are super damaged, but you still live and can use them all. So what I don't know who it was that said it, but someone came up with the idea to have like a totem that you can go to, and there you can like only at that position you can take all your dice and reorder them however you want. And I think that could be a great idea, because then you also get like um, point of interest on a roguelike map.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can imagine a totem like that, like it would also give you the excuse to like maintain the damage on the dice. If some of them, like if you want to, like the player can reorder them, but then whatever they put in that frontmost slot keeps the damage. Like you could keep it, but I don't know if you would need to. It would sort of depend.
Well, it would be the damage is per dice, so like if you move the dice that's damaged another slot, it would probably still be as damaged as the dice was before.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Sangi's mentioned, I see a problem. I wonder if the developer has thought it through. The worse your run gets, the worse your chances are. It means that one bad move could undo a whole difficult level. From the point of fun, it could be quickly disappointing. Yeah, like in terms of the sort of cascading failure, like sort of downward spiral, feedback loop, right? Like the more damage you take, the worse your ability to like act becomes.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point. And I think I've seen like the opposite of this, in the way that where some people that have play tested, they're like it seems too easy for them. Just breeze through the whole thing, almost lose no dice, and that's probably just because they didn't lose a dice. They've always had the chance to continue and not take damage, and that is a real problem. And I will do my best to combat it. One way is to what I did in this YAM version, anyways, is that I made sure that there are a lot of dice laying around. That makes the game very easy as well, but at the same time, a YAM game should be pretty easy so that people don't get stuck. Um, but yeah, I really need to think of something to better it. One thing is that even if your dice are damaged, if you get to the next level, they fully heal. So as long as they aren't fully breaked, they will heal back. And I think more recovery things like that could help. Maybe even like if you have your breaked dice, like it has completely break, maybe there's another totem you can go to like fully heal your dice. That could also make an interesting mechanic where you maybe want to keep your broken dice instead of replacing them, because maybe it's a really good dice and you want to keep it and such. But yeah, I can see what you mean, and I have thought about it a little bit, but perhaps a system where the game gives you bonuses the fewer dice you have. Yeah, that could be something like that could be nice. One way of doing it that I've thought about is if you are in a situation where you only have like one move left, and or if you are in a situation where you have no attacks left, you only have a bit of move, um, then it is very frustrating when you are like at an enemy and you're trying to escape to get to a new dice or something like that, but the RNG just makes it so you can't escape the enemy, like the dice roll the wrong wrong things, and you just are left there, and you slowly take damage and die. One way to combat that would be to further use my rigged dice system, as I call it. It's actually in the game Yam, or in the Yam version already, where your movement dice are actually rigged to point towards the enemies if you're far away enough, because otherwise it will get really really annoying to move through the level. So I use a very basic version of pathfinding to like see the direction to the closest enemy and pathfind towards that. But I could use it the other way too. So if you don't have any attack, it will automatically pathfind away from the enemies and things like that.
I think that's a really good idea. I think that most players, like it's kind of a problem how most players don't realize when games are cheating when they say something is a die roll but it actually isn't.
Yeah, exactly. So I bet you haven't thought about how the dice always, or not always, but pretty often seem to guide you towards and not in like you. It's not so often you just stay still and press and turn many times in a row because you can't get to your enemies. And that was a problem during the development. I noticed that, and I realized that I needed to fix this because it made the gameplay very annoying many times. So I used the same pathfinding system the enemies have, and just get the closest enemy to the player, and then pathfinds towards the enemy, and then there's a 40% chance per dice, if it's a movement dice, that it will point towards the pathfinding direction.
Nice. So it's not guaranteed; it's just weighted very heavily in that direction.
Exactly.
Well, I think that
And
that's
it's important that it's not guaranteed either, because then first off you would probably notice it, and secondly, because of the pathfinding is very rudimentary in the Yam version. It isn't A star or anything like that. It's just point, like take a vector towards the enemy or towards the goal, and then like check which direction is the, like, should I go up or should I go left, depending on like what the vector is. So it's very basic, and because of that you could get the points where the pathfinding thinks you should go up, but there's a box in the way or something, and then you would just get stuck. So
yeah,
but
it's all yeah, it's all very important to like keep all that in mind to make sure that it's not like pushing the player in a direction they can't go. It's actually going to be like tactically worse for them.
yeah,
So
exactly.
one other small thing I just thought of is you could always allow the player to kind of have a checkpoint at the start of every level. Like here, you've put a whole bunch of dice near the beginning of the level, which unfortunately, my last run through, I couldn't collect them. But you could make it so that the player always starts every level with the dice they had from the previous level, um, unless they fail at that new level, in which case they start the level over with a sort of like starter pack of dice, which might not be as good as something they've built up towards if they had been successful every level, but it's at least enough to guarantee that they have a chance at succeeding at the current level.
Yeah, that was something I was thinking about during the jam. Like if you get to the second level, for example, and you don't, like if you only have 2 movement dice when you come to the second level, if you lost one in the first, then like the game should spawn an extra dice pickup at the start, just so it doesn't get so annoying to move at the second level. But I never got to implement that, and the thing with that is, if I'm no now when I'm expanding the game, is that when it's a roguelike, that wouldn't really work, because if you lose a level, you lose the game. And But yeah, I could do it like if you get to the next level and you are very low on dice, then you will get an extra one. That could be a solution, because then you're always gonna be like, oh, I need to push towards actually winning this, because if I do, I actually have a chance on the next level. So that could be a pretty good solution.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there are a lot of different ways you can tackle that problem potentially.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any other projects that you'd like to plug, or any social media channels that you want people to direct people's attention towards?
Well, I have a YouTube channel, but it's in Swedish, so good luck understanding that. So it doesn't really seem like there's a lot of need to plug that. But like, I have some other itch games. Most of them are from Game Jams though, and yeah, I don't think there's a lot more to show people really. Like this is by far the best Game Jam game I've done so far, I think. At least according to the votes. um, but like I'm super happy with it, and that's why I feel like I really should push it forward and make turn it into a full roguelike.
Awesome. All right. Well, I would love to talk with you more about it, especially if you have a future version of the game that you'd like to come back and I can try
Yeah,
out a
definitely.
in-progress version. But for now, thank you so much for joining me, and yeah, best of luck with continued development.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Great. Bye for now.